Back, and thank you so much for staying with us. And now we start our conversation for the night on Sunday Express tonight. I'm having a sit down with Kenneth MWANGI. Kenneth is a lawyer, and of course he has done a lot when it comes to civic education and just advocating for the rights of persons living with disability. He will be letting me in on how his journey has been and how he crafted this passion for persons with disability and leadership and civic education. First of all, thank you so much for creating time for us.
Thank you so much, Safi. Happy Sunday and good evening.
Thank you so much for coming.
Asante.
So let's begin by getting to know you a little bit. So growing up in Muranga, tell us a little bit about yourself as a young person and whether you, at one point, you saw yourself sitting here today and sharing your story of inspiration. Did it ever occur to you that you were going to scale that high in life?
Not at all, but of course, being a young person, you build up expectations. I come from a family of 5, 3 siblings, myself, my sister, and my brother. 2 very supporting parents, Mr. and Mrs. WARUNGU. Born in Muranga, Madhya constituency, Keru ward, Kola village. I was born there. Then after 2 years, I was discovered of having an issue, eye issue. It's called glaucoma. Went for treatment, underwent 3 major operations. From there, I was recommended to attend a special school where they undertake the learning of Braille. Braille basically means that you read by touching. So, and Article 7 of the Constitution, led with Article 27, recognize Braille as a language. So it was very important, even at a tender age, to go and be able to learn Braille. It's quite complex, but with being young and, of course, having a very fresh brain and mind, I was able to learn Braille, which I've studied with it for 13 years. Yeah. All
right. Today our topic, Kenneth, is centered around going beyond disability. Because when we talk about disability, many would say there is still a lot of stigma and misunderstanding about this whole concept of disability. And many would feel a bit limited when they want to aspire and become somebody in life. Tell us a little bit about whether your condition has made you at one point feel different and, hindered, at a particular point, and what you did to overcome the obstacles you faced in life.
First, from the onset, disability, I think, has many clans, and there are 2 types of disability. That is the severe one and the non-severe one. Second is that we say that we are all potential candidates of disability, including myself. True, I'm visually impaired, but due to various occurrences, I could also find myself being physically challenged. So we say that we are potential candidates of disability. The other one is that disability comes with a lot of challenges. If you're visually impaired, then you have to have a guide. There are things that you can't do by yourself. Probably you will need someone to, if it's a print, to read for you. So it's true, but what we do is that we normally say the challenges you get, it enables you to get solution out of it. So through it's been a journey. There have been challenges, but we say that you don't get disappointed, you don't get demotivated. You must always remain hopeful. You must always soldier on. You must always find a solution to any occurring challenge. Yeah.
Oh, it's not very common to find persons living with disability in professions such as yours. Many are hindered in one way or the other and end up in, different professions that they would find more flexible for their conditions. We are yet to find a situation where it becomes easy for persons living with disability to become doctors, to become lawyers, to become, those kind of professions where they've not been given that particular chance. Tell us a little bit about some of the challenges you've seen that would hinder persons living with disability to get to where you are today.
Profession and careers are all about curriculum.
Yeah.
So you find in most cases, if you are to do engineering for visually impaired students, if you have to do medicine for visually impaired students, then you need what I would call adapted curriculum. to adapt such a curriculum to some extent that they will fit this particular person living with this disability, it becomes a challenge. But good for law, it's very easy because law is a social science, law, political science, public administration, international diplomacy. All those are social sciences, so they don't involve a lot of practicals. But for courses that requires a lot of practical, then it's become hard for a person, especially of this clan of person with disability, to get such a curriculum that can be adapted to fit them. But for other nature of disability, like the physically challenged, well, I think they can be able to undertake any other courses like medicine or engineering, because I don't think they involve a lot of practicals that is so involving. But for visually impaired, true, there is a challenge because of the adaptability of the curriculum. Yeah.
But you'd also agree with me, there's still a little bit of stigma that is making persons living with disability also fear breaking out of their shell to pursue these opportunities. Have you had or experienced such, you know, as you interact with persons living with disability? That fear of coming out and just going for what you really want.
Through Safi, there is still that stigma, either from other people that are not living with disability, or even people that are with disability for various reasons. But I think as persons who are enlightened in this world of persons with disability, we are really trying to do much in terms of the advocacy and the mainstreaming. Even find the cases where even kids or children living with disability have been locked in the houses. So we really try to enlighten the parents. We try to make sure that those kids are registered with the National Council of Persons with Disability. And we also try to make sure that they are fitted in whichever mainstream that they can be able to operate. It may be probably getting enrolled in schools to do various studies, get into a law in various vocations to do and undertake various courses. So true, we are doing a lot, and whatever you are saying is true that there could be stigma either from that particular person living with disability, or even people that surround person with disability. To some extent, they think that this person cannot be able to perform this particular job or opportunity. So it's true. But we are doing a lot of things, including whatever we are doing this evening. I would consider is that as part of disability mainstreaming and disability advocacy, either to a person living with disability or a person has a friend. Because we normally say that for now, Safi, you would testify that every person could be having a friend who is living with disability. So today, evening show, I think it's really fit in terms of advocacy and streaming.
It's part of just creating awareness that
awareness.
Disability is indeed not inability.
We normally call ourselves able differently. We say that the only thing that I cannot be able to do, probably whatever you do it fully, but through that I'm able in a different way.
All right, it's good you're saying that. So growing up in Muranga, in your village in Muranga, I mean, I believe it's a society just like any other society in our country where we still have a long way when it comes to understanding persons living with disability. Stigma is still rife, challenges are still there. We've not made the environment very conducive for persons living with disability. What made you a story different? What gave you the inspiration as Kenneth to say that my story is going to be different? I'm going to write another version of a story of somebody living with disability. What inspired you?
I think two things. One is that I schooled in my village, nursery, standard 1, and partly term 1 for standard 2. And I was very lucky because I come from a background where my parents are also teachers. If you find a person living with disability and probably the parents are not that mainstream or do not have the sufficient awareness, then it makes sure that that person living with disability become even more vulnerable than probably the majority of us. So the awareness from my parents was quite very high. So from there, I was recommended by now the doctor who was now treating me to attend a special school. So from class 2, I was forced to go back to nursery so that I can start now learning Braille. So it's true, but I think the help that I got from my parents and of course my siblings, and the awareness that now my parents had, was able to make sure that even as I grow up, I create that confidence in me. And going to a special school in Melu, because you see now there is another story. I've been born in Molanga, and then you have to be taken to Meru. By then I was very, very, very young, and it's a boarding school. You need to go there, getting to wash your clothes, wash yourself.
You're separated from
you
your
have
parents.
been separated for your parents and your family. You have to go and start your life there. And you remember by then, I don't know how it happened with the CBC. We'd go for first term for 3 months, then second term for 3 months, another 2.5 months. So you
like
are
an entire year. You are
you are on your own, and of course the people who are taken care of. So I happened to have joined a St. Lucy's School for the Bride. It's in Meru Egoji. It's a Catholic missionary school. So there I also was able to adapt a lot. I was able to create confidence there. I was able to now create the aggressiveness in myself. And I think the school, having attended a boarding school pretty young, I was also able to be hardened to some extent. Now I can able to maneuver a lot of things.
All right, so yours was different. You saw an opportunity in the sense that your parents were a bit, you know, they were aware about your condition, and they were more enlightened.
Yeah.
And they could take you to these schools, and you could pursue whatever a level of education you wanted. But do you think there still need more awareness to be centered around the parents who have children with disability? Because some of them, for lack of understanding and for lack of even how they're going to cope in the environment that they live in, they end up getting confused how they're going to raise this particular child in the community. Do you think there's more that needs to be done to also just walk with parents this journey of raising a child with disability?
Yeah, I think a lot has to be done to parents living with personal disability. Because you find in a family probably you are 5 and one has a disability, the rest of the siblings 4 don't have a disability. You may find very easy for this person living with disability facing discrimination and studies and being concentrated to the other 4. So it's good we create a lot of awareness to parents that are handling kids or children living with disability, and it's through awareness can be created by even more person living with disability that are successive, coming out and being an inspiration to this parent that your child can be this particular person at one time, and you really don't need to hide that particular kid. You really don't need to discriminate that particular kid. He or she can be just like any other kid in the family. What you really need to know is that if he's visually impaired, there are school for visually impaired students. If he's physically challenged, there are school for physically challenged students. If he's or she's a deaf, then there are deaf schools. And when he gets incorporated in that studies and learning and that curriculum, he'll be able to work hard, he'll be able to mingle and interact with the others. That particular child will feel at home, away from home, and he'll be able to one day follow his dream, his passion. He'll be able to work hard and become just like any other person, and even become better than the other siblings or the other kids in the family.
All right.
Yeah.
Just like yourself, a success story. You know, today you're a lawyer, almost just being admitted to the bar, and you're also one of the most insightful political analysts in the country as you speak right now.
Yeah.
You have a very strong passion for governance and leadership. Tell us a bit about that. Did it find you? Did you find it? You know?
I think, just like I said, growing up in the primary school, I went St. Lucy, and growing with the rest of the person now living with disability there, to be specific, visually impaired, we were a bit hardened. I think going to boarding school at a tender age, having to maneuver life by yourself, we calculated it became almost 8 to 9 months where you have to be on your own, far from your parents. You only meet during the holidays. It's 1 month. If you compare the other kids who normally go to a day school, you normally get a chance to see your parents every evening. In this case, you don't have that opportunity to see your parent. So it's upon you now to work hard. It's upon you to be responsible on your own. If it's homework, you make sure you do it. If there are other things, and especially being in a boarding school, you also be able to do other activities down there. So I think that while combining all those things, I became very aggressive. I also became very confident, and this one has assisted me all over time, and to be able to also get into politics, either by way of practice or by way of analyzing.
All right. Yeah. You say that right now one of the key activities you're engaging yourself in is promoting civic education and political rights for persons living with disability, and you're strongly advocating for them to increasingly participate in the electoral process. Why do you find this significant?
I think if you read Article 1 of the Constitution on the sovereignty of the people, it will stipulate that the sovereignty of the people can be represented either directly or indirectly. And it's in this notion that we also advocate and mainstream that even in the representation of the sovereignty of the people, we also have persons with disability included. Secondly, we also read Article 27 of the Constitution. It also fight against discrimination, any form of discrimination. May it be on religion, may it be on social, may it be on political discrimination. And we normally say governance, leadership, and representation. One form of it is political representation, either through a nomination or through elective politics. So we also advocate that persons with disability can also have one of their own, either representing the other person with disability or even representing all persons. And if you read the International Code on Persons with Disabilities, normally mention that there is nothing for us without us. So we normally say that we cannot be having a government that is purporting to be representing us without or a county assembly or a county government without the inclusion of us. So we really need a person living with disability incorporated in the government, in the county government, in the county assembly, in various government parastatal, and even in a private sector, so that they can also be able to even assist in advocacy and even assist in disability mainstreaming. And if you read Article 54 of the Constitution, also states on 5% representation on persons with disability, which should be progressive in all appointive and elective seats. So I think it's on that notion that we also resident our advocacy and mainstreaming on disability representation in key government sectors.
All right, thank you so much. And you do that so well, you know, having been the founder member of the Constitution Task Force Committee on Constitution Making for the University of Nairobi Students with Disabilities Association. You've also served at the County Assembly of Murang'a as a legal advisor. You've also worked at the Parliament of Kenya, at the Senate. And I can go on and on about what you have achieved with your legal mind, but this we'll do in another forum. You also have that other side. You've carried a Bible with you as you wind up.
Yeah, sure.
You know, it's Sunday.
Yeah, it's
Sunday Express.
Yeah,
so you had something you wanted us to read.
I said it's Sunday, and you know we all grew as Sunday school kids, and that one has pushed us even as we grow to also remember praying and also having our Bible. So I came with a Braille Bible. It's John. And as you mentioned that if I was to come with the whole Bible, then I would have to carry it in a pickup.
Yeah.
Reason being that Braille is very complex as a language, as I mentioned, pursuant to Article 7 of the Constitution. And just to mention a little bit about Braille as a language, we normally say A is .1. So B is .12, C is .14, D is .145. So when I touch this particular Bible, when I hear, I touch a dot that is at the upper, I'll be able to know that's A. So when I touch 2 dots, .12, I'll be able to know that's B. Yeah, so that's what make Braille to be a language. So I came with a Bible, so you can also have your Bible, John, then you can be able to read
Let me
together.
just very quickly, let me tell you what you're going to read for us.
Yeah.
This is John 13, 34 to 35.
John 30.
I see how you tactfully allocating it in the Braille Bible.
You said John?
13.
John 13,
Yes.
Should be on this side.
And then you're going to tell me what it says?
Okay. Let me... Braille is very complex, so you need sometimes to locate it. John 30.
You there? Or
almost there.
Okay.
Almost there. To see where.
And it takes a lot of skill, yeah?
Yeah, it takes a lot of skills. You said John?
13.
13, Yes. This one is 24. This should be on this. So Braille is very, very complex.
Yeah, now you're making us understand how this you really have to master.
You really have to master bit by bit.
All right. And you can't even... It's by touch, yeah? That's when you get to know it. Yes.
Touch.
All right. Interesting.
By touch, you'll be able to, like just we mentioned, if it's A, it's in chapter?
This is 13.
Chapter 13? Or?
Yes, John 13.
Because this chapter 3, I don't know whether it's...
Oh, we can just, find an easy one. Yeah. What does that say? Because I can locate.
Chapter 13, Jesus teaches Nicodemus. Yeah, so that's chapter 3, You can go to chapter 3.
Okay, let me just locate mine.
And probably confirm to your viewers
that what you're saying is true. Mine has also failed technology. Oh my goodness. And there we go. We ran out of time. Yeah. But thank you. Looks like this is a class we need to pick up after this, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But thank you so much for, creating time and also teaching us a little bit about Braille. And I believe we will be having more forums to get to know more about even your passion for leadership and governance. We really appreciate you, Kenneth MWANGI. He is a governance and legal expert. Tonight we were just talking about how one can actually go beyond disability, and he is a true example of disability is not inability. Thank you for watching. We will be crossing over on the other side in just a bit. John Jacob Kioria will be updating you on the latest in the world of sports.